So we arrived to Chapter 6 in a bit of an extreme fashion. One thing of note is, and I will say this much, the candles are still on in all of these rooms. Or the candles are still lit. Shoutouts to Tom. I hate you for pointing out that detail. And now nobody else will ever unsee that. But we're back into the apartment complex yet again, and we have to wait for Strauss to be done talking for the pressure to equalize in the room to let us through the door.
Do you know where the marker is, Strauss?
It's in the government sector. But we have to move now. Now. Because time is running out for moving for us.
Strauss!
But he gives us the details that our dementia is slowly getting worse. But now we can go and keep going to the next area. If anybody remembers, this is the same washing area that we were in before, just more unitology-ized. But there are seeker rifle schematic out. There is a seeker rifle schematic out on the balcony, and we have to go back into the washing room and to the right. But for anyone that is playing on hardcore, down the elevator will be where I would usually make my first save. That's just a sound to spook you, so you don't need to worry about it. Nothing attacks you in here, so. But I did notice the shower graffiti that kind of looks like one of the Brother Moons, which are hinted at all over the Unitology Church in Chapter 4, so. They were a thing even back then. Just shown a bit more. So we go into the room on the right, there's going to be a alarm clock distraction scare. And we'll just clear out this little storage maintenance closet and grab everything, and then go into the next room. And Strauss tries to scare us yet again, but we're going to go down the elevator, and on hardcore, this is where I would actually make my first save. Given that the next room is going to be pregnants and leapers, leapers being especially dangerous on higher difficulties because of their ability to quickly jump across a room and absolutely flatline you, it only makes sense to save in this room whenever there's going to be about 5 or 6 of them coming at us. And fun fact, if you want to stop Tideman talking, you just stomp the body. But yeah, this is where I always make my first save on hardcore. And it's far enough along in the game where you've got a decent chunk. But we're going to run across the room and there will be this pregnant that runs out from around the wall. And we really don't want to be in the middle of that open room, so we're going to give ourselves a little safe place back here, where they'll need to come to us down this straight hallway so we have the most advantage that we can get. But this whole section basically consists of when you see them come through a vent or come around the wall, then absolutely just start blasting them. You kind of need to hone in your aim a little bit, and also take advantage of the fact that you have stasis. But also remember that it doesn't cover the entire room with stasis, so. And stuff will be slow, you just kind of have to be prepared for it. I didn't particularly think that it hit the pregnant stomach, but you kind of just have to go with the flow on it. And you really don't want a bunch of swarmers attacking you, so you'll definitely want to get rid of them as quick as possible. But you can run up to start getting more stuff if nothing's coming. But as you can see, they just throw a shit ton of leapers your way, and you definitely don't want a bunch of them swarming you. Would be very bad to be in a big open room where they can jump off high walls where you can't see them. But if you can knock off one of their arms, it's the same as in Remake, as with all the other Dead Spaces. It will absolutely destroy their mobility options. But now we have another pregnant coming, as you can hear him gurgling. So they are rather slow, especially whenever they don't know that you're around. And I did hit its stomach again, which is a massive waste of ammo, but still, we can adjust for it. But we have the little jump scare behind us, but after that, we can get into the shop and deposit all of our schematics. And I will say, in the next room, there are 2 deaths coming up, which is both hilarious, and I didn't want to edit out. But at this point, you don't really have to worry too much if you are on hardcore, because you have a save literally a room back. So you can basically mess up this room as much as you want, and the next room without too much of a time loss. I just left the deaths in because they were 2 cysts, which are the wall mines, and I thought it was hilarious, so I did decide to keep them. I'm definitely not just going to edit things out to make myself look better, especially whenever it's such a dumb death in both of them that I find them incredibly stupid but incredibly funny. So the cysts work in such a way where anything in their proximity will activate them. Anything being enemies, objects, what have you, as long as they go near the cyst, and they'll fire them out. But you can also walk yourself up to them and grab the mines that they shoot out, the polyps, whatever you want to call them. But on higher difficulties, I actually don't recommend doing that too much, because the cysts will quite literally one-shot you at no matter what your health is if they hit you. And case in point, whenever you accidentally grab a trash can that is behind the polyp that you're trying to grab, and it kills you. So that one was just kind of hilariously stupid. I thought it was funny as hell whenever it happened, and I was kind of dying laughing. So at this point, I'm just laughing at myself. And I kind of want to hurry back through this part, so you could probably guess what happens the second time. And guess who forgot about assist on the left? That is correct, this guy. And that will be the last death of the run. But still, I thought both of them were hilarious, that they were to quite literally an enemy that you should never die to. But I decided to leave them in because they were funny. So yeah, that will be the last death of the run. But at the same time, I thought they were worth sharing, just because of how goofy they were. But here I'm going to make an example of how you can actually use cysts in your favor. As you can see, the Necromorph is starting to crawl towards it and arm it. But they will help you out. And again, like I said, I like to save at that particular section just because the huge fight, but also it's right before this part with the cysts. And 6 chapters deep is definitely a decent first save. A lot of the time you'll probably want to save before insta-kill events or before big fights, like the eye poke later on, or the tripod canister throwing fight, or say a section with, you know, a lot of stalkers because they headbutt you and hit you for 7/8 of your health. That sort of stuff. Which I do take advantage of the fact before a tripod fight later on to save there. And here I throw the battery over by the door at the back behind the fire because we will be going over there. Just saves time. But we're also going to grab a power node and stuff from this room. There's a bunch of stuff just scattered about, but we're going to grab it all. And again, this run isn't really a show of optimizing, it's more of a show of you can make mistakes and still pass. Like, I make a ton of mistakes in this run. I'm not even going to be ashamed to admit that. There are a bunch of times where I just miss shots, take a bunch of damage, or other stuff. But it's more of a showing of you can still make mistakes but come out on top of it. Like, even with the cyst area, since I saved right before that, I would have had a time loss of about probably 2 minutes, 3 minutes, depending on how quick you can do the main area fight that I was in. So, you can still pass, even with mistakes. But here we're going to have 2 lurkers on our left. They're kind of hard to see in the shadowy areas, but they are there. And we will use the wall to our advantage to block their shots. But here we're going to want to take our battery with us. And this is another dangerous elevator. Like I said back in Chapter 4, there are going to be 2 dangerous elevators. And when I say dangerous elevators, I mean single-person occupancy kind of elevators. The elevator to space doesn't count, and the elevator in the mines don't count. Those 2 are scripted fight events where you kind of expect it. Meanwhile, an elevator like this is not something you would expect to get attacked in, but there is an enemy in here, so be prepared for him because it is a puker, and it is short range. So, this is a dangerous elevator. We prepare for the puker, get rid of him, and take the elevator up.
Isaac, the steps.
Meanwhile, Strauss is slowly going more and more insane.
Strauss, calm down. He can't hurt you.
He wants me to go into the dark machine, Isaac. I can't go. She's in there. She's waiting for me.
Strauss.
Oh god, oh god, oh god.
Strauss, listen to me. You need to keep moving. Can you get to the train? Can you do that?
He's coming. Can't talk.
I really do wonder how Strauss survives all of this with being absolutely insane. Like, he's either really good at dodging stuff, or they're oblivious to the fact that he exists. And it's not like marker insanity gives you immunity to necromorphs either. Like, canon events show people usually get done in, even whenever they are insane. So, it's a little weird. And here, the developers just try and tell you, hey, take the detonator into this fight, but we're just going to run across the room, and always be prepared for this stalker that will charge you as soon as you get across. I fired instead of doing a stasis, but you can see that he absolutely decimated my health bar with a headbutt. So, yeah, be prepared to stasis that guy every time. But we come over here because it'll just make our life a little easier. We can take out the stalkers as they come in, and the necromorphs that'll come through the door. And yet again, whenever you see a stalker peeking around a corner, if you look in their general direction with a flashlight, then most often than not, they will come at you. But there again, I should have just stasised the stalker first. I almost made the last mistake and died again. But stasis is your friend against stalkers, especially whenever they're really close to you, because their heads can actually cover their limbs as they charge towards you. And you will not stop them with a shot if you shoot them in the head. You basically have to take out one of their limbs to stop their charges. So here, main improvement point, as soon as you get over to this point, stasis the first stalker that will always come and try and charge you, and then just abuse the fact that you have stasis. If you've upgraded your stasis at this point, that's even better, because then you'll have more than me. I actually don't opt to upgrade the stasis a whole lot until later on, whenever at that point it's basically the last thing that I have. And here the stalker AI was just being a little wonky. I'm not really sure why the last one just decided to go do its own thing across the room. But I knew it was there, because I can hear it. They make the little velociraptor chirps and squeaks and whatever you want to call it. But for some reason it just wasn't coming to where I was. it was like across the room in the corner. I could hear it like it was active and like it was doing the search around corners and stuff. So I figured it would charge me if I tried to go around a corner, but it just didn't. So I walked up, and then I could see it jump over the boxes, so I figured it was actively hunting me at that point. So I ran back to my safer long area and waited for it to try and come at me. I'm not really sure why its AI acted like this, but it did. It was kind of weird. But I heard the little screeching in the background and figured it was starting to charge, so that's why I immediately stasised the bodies there. But then it finally started to play ball, so shine the flashlight at it, it charges, get rid of it. Background music stops, so I know everything is gone. Usually general rule of thumb in games is as soon as spoopy music stops, you're good. Which is okay to break tension, but at the same time is a very clear indicator that you have nothing to be afraid of anymore. Which this game does do that, so as soon as spooky music stops, you're good. But we're just gonna go out and clear all the lockers and boxes and everything. We left all the supplies as we went, so we just need to grab everything there. Another way you can do this area is that first gate where we got the detonator rounds. The stalkers actually can't go through that little area if you try and activate them to charge you and then walk back through where the ramp area is. You can cause their AI to do like the elevator, which is kind of safer, but I don't know, I just don't like doing the exploit like that. I just find it kind of boring.
I don't understand.
But I've always found with going all the way across the room, besides the one stalker that will always come at you and try and headbutt you immediately as soon as you get rid of him, it's a pretty easy tactic. And here we're going to have a singular leaper that comes out at us, which, again, stasis is your friend on higher difficulties. Past me just didn't acknowledge the fact that stasis exists a lot of the times whenever he should have. Not sure why, but don't do like me. Use stasis. Stasis is your friend, and especially since it auto-regens in this game, you might as well use it.
You stay back.
Like, there's not a whole lot of point in not using stasis in this.
Don't say you're gonna help. The last person who said that tried to kill me.
Hey, take it easy. I'm not gonna hurt you.
And here we're going to have the introduction of Ellie.
You got that right. You try it, and you're dead.
Definitely a fan favorite, which I can see why. She's a good written female character. She don't need no man, she don't need Isaac. She's just, you know, doing her own thing to survive.
Ellie.
I also really appreciate the dialogue between the two of them,
I'm trying to get to the transport hub.
at least as far as the game goes. Especially whenever you get to the mine section, they have really good bits of dialogue between the two of them.
Hey, I can help you. Besides, we got a better chance if we stick together. Don't you agree?
It's not a chance, Isaac. Other people are just a liability. I'll release the door lock. But after that, you're on your own. And please, don't follow me, okay?
Weirdly enough, something that I did notice is that Ellie never seems to have any effects of the marker happen to her. She never seems to have like a psychosis or anything, which is interesting. It has been shown that there are people that have immunity to it, like Lexine, and they can grant that immunity to others who are in like a short proximity, but I don't know if Ellie has ever really been immune, but she doesn't seem to show extreme cases of the psychosis. So it's kind of interesting to think about. Maybe she is one of them. But who knows, I might just be misremembering, and she does have cases where she starts going crazy in the third one, but in the second one she never really seems to show anything. But there are more cysts in this room, and whenever you walk up, you will activate a spitter and a pregnant, so we go ahead and activate both of them. So, they're done. And there will be a power node in the little door slot on the right. So we're going to definitely grab that. But you just have to be mindful of the cysts. Yet again, they will insta-kill you on a higher difficulty. So, if you don't get them, they will get you. There's the power node I was talking about. But the further you go in this room, you go about halfway up and it will activate another 2. And then whenever you hit the end of the hallway, it'll activate a 3rd wave. So, you want to be mindful of going through this room with the cysts, but you also want to be mindful of going through this room with the necromorphs that'll pop up behind you. There will be another puker and a spitter whenever we get up to the schoolyard, or school area here. So once you hit the little archway here with the 2 jutted out sections, more of them will pop up behind you. Past me kind of forgot about that. And past me almost took a spitter blob to the back of the skull, so. But that will clear out the rest of this area. And then we do have a store in the back. Now that everything's cleared out, we can go ahead and use that without fear of instantly dying from a cyst or getting spitters on us. And as we usually do, we're just going to get rid of everything that's not contact, force, or plasma energy. But we are running low at only 4 shots of plasma energy left. I also move over some health packs because we did use a bunch for the stalkers. So we're going to go ahead and buy some plasma energy. Because if you don't have a bunch of shots until the next store, you're definitely going to regret not having them. Especially with the schoolhouse rock coming up. So anybody that's hemophobic or squeamish, you might want to look away until you hear the explosion. And even still, you might want to give it another 5 seconds. But this is the kind of messed up shit that I live for in Dead Space. Yeah, there's a lot of tomato sauce on the wall now. And if you're squeamish, you can look back now. But yeah, they really turned up the dark level as far as enemy designs go in this game compared to the first one. I mean, you did always have the lurkers and stuff, but you didn't literally fight in an elementary that was also like a daycare for babies. So that was different times, man. This shit is dark, and I love it. But we're just going to run through this room, and as you can see, we get the hell out of that room because there was exploding babies all over the wall. And we definitely don't want to be there. So we're just going to funnel them all through this door. And you can decapitate them to not make them explode and then use their bodies on the other ones. But when we hit the middle of this room, just watch out because one will drop from the ceiling. And as you can see, I decapitated it so it didn't explode. So you can kind of make use of skillful aim to give yourself a grenade-esque kind of kinesis object. But you do want to be careful if they are close to you, because they can instantly kill you. Anything explosive on higher difficulties will basically one-shot you, so you do want to be careful of that. But we're basically going to do the equivalent of meet me in the parking lot after school coming up. Or the ever classic question of what would you rather fight? 50 kindergartners or, you know, one adult? But with how the pack work, they only take one shot, so it's easy enough. And we're actually going to have our first enhanced enemy coming up as well, whenever we get behind the bleachers here. So there's going to be a puker that drops down, and he is an enhanced variety, so he will take more shots. But as you can see, Kinesis, really good at saving ammo. Didn't even need to fire a shot, he just did the work for us. And be prepared because the scariest jump scare in the game is coming. I have no idea why the sun has lips, but that's just spooky. But we're about to have a regular old recess rumble, so you definitely want to be prepared. Biggest thing, prioritize the crawlers, the exploding babies, because yeah, you don't want them near you. Same as whenever any exploders or explosive necromorphs are in a room, always prioritize those ones. But we set them off by going down the ramp there a little bit, and you can actually use the exploders to your advantage, like I do here. You can take out multiples of the pack by hitting an exploder near it. So if they explode, they will do it in your favor. There is friendly fire, so to speak. But here I just saved some ammo. Since pack go down in one hit, we can actually just go on full One Punch Man mode. They have to kind of jump up onto the stage, which gives you time with their landing animation to insta-kill them. So anytime they're jumping up on the stage, if you do a swing, you can get rid of them without wasting a shot. But we're going to empty the lockers over to the right here. That'll appear once the curtains part. And we're going to get the hell out of this elementary school. So if we go into the middle room right here, we will after we grab the money. There is a flamethrower schematic over in the corner here. We're not going to use the flamethrower, so I just throw it off to the side. I was just kind of showing that it is in here, though. The flamethrower in the earlier games is... it leaves a lot to be desired, but there is a power node up in the crow's nest, spaceship, kid equipment, whatever the hell you want to call it, before we talk to Nicole, so we will grab that. But yeah, the flamethrower in the earlier games was not the greatest. It is still fun to use, but it definitely needed a bit of love, comparatively. So Nicole being spooky, but as soon as Isaac is shaking it off, we're just going to go down the elevator. And we're going to work our way towards the transit hub, where we're going to have a quote-unquote boss fight. But if you're familiar with the Brute, you know that it's not much of a fight. In fact, I wouldn't even call it a fight. It's more of a one-sided slaughter.
Twitchy. I don't trust him. Don't move.
Ellie, I need him to be not dead.
I do always kind of wonder why Ellie ended up calling Isaac whenever she had just met him and didn't want anything to do with him. It seems kind of weird. Like, that's the only part that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. She was basically like, don't follow me, I do better on my own. And then immediately finds Stross and is like, hey, do you know this guy? Just kind of shoehorned, in a way, I feel. So I do still like Ellie. I'm glad she's a character. It's just really weird how they end up, you know, in the circumstance together when she wanted nothing to do with him in the beginning, and then immediately finds Strauss, who she has no idea if he even has a connection to him, and just trucks him along everywhere. But when we get in this room, start grabbing everything possible,
Come on, move.
because you have plenty of time to empty this room.
This brings up bad memories.
And if you are playing on New Game Plus, you can actually get the Elite Vintage suit
Wait, you're CC?
as well, in the case
Class 4.
with the vintage suit in it,
You?
Engineer.
right on the right there.
Figures.
But we're going to take advantage of the fact that they give us a stasis canister, because why not? But we'll empty out all the lockers, get all the boxes, and you have a bunch of time to grab everything in this room. And the only thing you need to worry about is the single brute that'll jump over the transport hub sign over there on the left of it.
I knew it was only a matter of time before you reached the transit hub.
And if you notice the sign in the background, instead of Skate 3, there is a Skate 3000 sign.
There may be other survivors over here.
I believe it was Skate that Isaac made a cameo in.
I can't allow you to escape.
One of the Skate games.
Goodbye, Clark.
I never really played them. I just know he was a cameo character in it. But yeah, Ellie gets all the normal Necromorphs, and we get the easier one, so I'll take that trade. But yeah, in the earlier games, all you had to do was basically stasis a brute anytime. Its tracking and its charge was absolutely abysmal, so as long as you just stasis it, it really can't do anything. And if it starts rearing back to spit an explosive glob at you, you can kinesis and throw it back. It is a bit of a risky maneuver. If you do get hit, it will hurt like a son of a bitch, but it does do a lot of damage back,
You're right.
so it's decently worth it.
For now.
Why did Tiedemann turn off the power? What did you do to piss him off so much?
LED. You know what a marker is?
Yeah. The unitologist
But we're actually going to go
said
into our
about it.
space
Why is it
walk
wrong?
section pretty soon here,
Tiedemann made one using codes.
taking the space elevator up to the sun collectors.
Everything that's happening on this station is happening because of that marker. I have to get to it and destroy it, and I need Strauss to tell me how.
And she just goes with all of this, which is kind of funny.
Can you help me?
We're about to suffocate, so I think I'm better.
Okay, good. Listen, we need power. Without it, we have no air and no train. Sprawl's gotta have backup batteries somewhere.
Yes. The solar array's up there. But they've been mothballed for years.
Okay, alright, good. I'm heading there now. If I can start them up and get some power to the train.
You'll need someone to open the collector panels. I can do that.
She is very open with this. By the way, we're both crazy. We know how to stop this. It's cool. He's like, okay, sure, yeah, I'm in. Deal. But here you can also take advantage of the fact that whenever, as soon as you kinesis something, you can grab it, essentially. So I get all the plasma energy that I can through these gates. And I will usually give up, like, pulse rifle rounds or other stuff to grab the plasma energy. Since we're using one of them and never using the other, it only makes sense to drop the one we're not going to use. I'm just going to sell them for basically nothing later anyways. But be careful of going around the left corner here. AKA don't at all, because this Guardian will lop your fucking head off like nobody's business. If you get within like 10 feet of it, it will just insta-kill you. So don't go running around the corner. But it's easy enough to shoot all of its wall tentacles. But other than that, we're going to be going into Chapter 7. So let me know what you guys think, and have a good one.